Hi, welcome to Social Media Fridays. We meet here every week before the weekend to talk about what happened in the world of social media. Each week, when items of interest pop up, we add them to the Social Media Fridays community on Google+. Wasn't a lot happening this week. I think we've only got two topics, and one of them not exactly consequential. Anyway, with us today we have Masataki Wasa. He's webmaster of wasaweb.net and also a Google top contributor on the AdSense and the Google Plus help community. Meher Bhagat is a social media queen from New Delhi in India, I hope. I think so. Okay. And Rob Mars is an AdWords aficionado. He can be found at marketbiz.nl with two Z's, marketbiz.nl. Tim Capper can be found at onlineownership.com. Tim is proud to call himself an SEO. He's also a conversion rate optimization specialist. Anyway, our first topic today is no big deal, but apparently, according to Google Maps, Edward Snowden has now taken up residence in the White House. Yeah. Any comments on this, guys? I see some lovely people commissioned a bronze bust of Snowden and put it in a New York park, but the park authorities took it away. All right, no comments on Edward Snowden? I'm dying here, guys.
I think it's good. I like it. Easy to do. Just change it in MapMaker and have someone verify it, or a couple of people. It's not like it was a new one. I think they, if I remember correctly, they just changed one of the gift shops or something. They changed one of the rooms and and then moved the marker, something like that.
They do have some sort of algorithmic protection. I'm fairly sure that's right, because at one stage there I tried to add a dead penguin to the Googleplex, and they wouldn't let me do it.
Yeah, but you tried to create a new page, correct?
No, not a new page. I tried to add a dead penguin to the images for the park. There's a park. Here, go on.
Yeah, but images are. Yeah, but you could do that, Jim. Just upload it via your mobile phone to. You'd need the GPS for it to appear. If you can somehow embed the GPS in the image, job done.
Now that's something that didn't dawn on me. Masataki, do you, when you're taking your photos around Wimbledon, do you use a mobile phone or a camera with a GPS?
I do now, but previously I didn't. So the images didn't have any geotag or geographical information on them. So I uploaded images directly to the relevant local Google Plus pages, and they appeared in most cases.
Mm-hmm.
But for what would be the right word? So generic landscape pictures or pictures of rows of shops, for example, which captures more than one particular building, one particular business, then really the only way for those images to appear publicly and on maps is to either take them with device that has geographical information, or adding them manually, which you can do through your Google Plus photos, for example.
Okay. All right. I think we've covered this topic. Any objections to moving on? I'm going to record that as a no. And here we come to the interesting part of our discussion. It's titled, Was Yoda a Medieval Monk? It takes a museum curator to tell you. Social media, a window to different worlds. Masataki, I'm going to put you in the hot seat because you added this one.
Fair enough. There might be some background noise because there are builders talking loudly.
That's okay.
So,
That'll be interesting. And I'm hoping that guy will start singing again.
oh dear no. Oh dear Lord no. So this was an article published in the Guardian newspaper, and it highlighted 3 examples where people have gained a lot of social media following by posting what they do. So the first example was Julian Harrison, who's the curator of pre-1600 historical manuscripts at the British Library. So he took over a blog and started to post images of illustrated manuscripts, for example, of which the Yoda-like being is one of them. And the blog had the readership of about 2 when he took over, but now has, I think, 36,000 a day. Oh, that was his record. Sorry, it's not the average, but his record daily traffic was 36,000. So that's a huge amount of traffic and a large audience, and there are 23,400 followers. So it was part of his job to do this kind of thing, and then a lot of people are interested in these materials. So so there's a match between the professional requirement to do something and professional interest, and reaching out to, so tapping into that potential audience that existed. The second case, which is quite similar, is James Rebanks, who is a shepherd in the fells, and he started to post pictures of his life as a shepherd, so pictures of sheep and sheepdogs and things like that, and that gradually got a following, and he's now publishing a book. He has a large number of Twitter followers. He posts a lot of pictures, absolutely lovely pictures, by the way, and he now has a book deal. The third example is that of Claire King, who's a novelist, I think, and she decided to blog about the process that you have to go through to be published, and also how she works, how she creates things, what's the workflow, what's the negotiations with publishers like, and that again tapped into a huge number of potential audience, because many people, I think, fantasize about being a novelist. Many people like to be published. Many people like to write a novel, and at the same time, there is relatively little on if you like, the nuts and bolts of things, how the process works. So again, she has gained a following, good readership through writing what she does. It's something specialist. So all these 3 people have specialist knowledge, that most other people don't have. So it's not that people can suddenly be a specialist in pre-1600.
Yeah. Have you ever had fantasies about being a novelist, Tim?
It's that ability to write
Check the
things.
body language, Masataki.
Yeah, I suppose I have thought about it at a point, but it's a question of, you need to have a skill. You need to be able to articulate and create a story.
Yeah. So it's a specialist knowledge that, in a sense, in a sort of pre-social media, pre-internet age, it would have been very difficult to communicate, because in order to make something viable, if it's a publication, you have to publish a lot of it or be supported by sponsors, essentially, because the cost of producing.
Oh, I think we've lost Masataki. Yeah, he's coming back in again. I think that's true, though. Social media has an ability to connect people. Just look at the group of the 5 of us here. If it weren't for social media, we wouldn't know each other. Some might argue that would be a good thing.
Sorry, I got cut off.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Masataki.
So where was I? So it has become if you like, the cost of pushing out content has become so much lower and so much easier, and in a sense that you don't need to have as many. No, that would be the wrong way of describing it. Anyway, in a sense that you can reach audiences that would have been difficult with the previous media. So let's say it's a book. It costs a bit of money to produce it. So if it's going to be commercially viable, then it has to sell. And obviously the books have to reach people who want to read the book. There may be a huge number of people who might read the book, but may not know the existence of the book, or can't get their hands on the book. Whereas with something like blog, so long as people have internet access, which is granted, which is not the whole population, there are many people without access to the internet, but it's still a far larger pool of people who can be more easily reached than, let's say, a print publication. So that makes it viable for people to not necessarily make a living, but to gain a following by writing about their specialist knowledge, specialist skills that very few other people have, which with previous media would not have been perhaps commercially viable. So it's a good
I think that let's take the example of the shepherd. Now, he has 57,000 followers on Twitter, and even if he wrote badly and published bad photographs, and a lot of people do that, with 57,000 followers, he's got to be a success as an author. His book has to be successful. Because of just the sheer weight of numbers. I'm actually intending to do that the same thing. I'm just 57,000 followers short.
Well, I thought you were going to become a shepherd.
Hmm. I could on this new house. I could get a sheep.
You see, get an alpaca and then write a diary about it, blog about it.
Hmm. I'm waiting for Tim Kappa's book, Masataki. I'd love to hear the stories about the falcons on the Ural steppes and morning coffee with Vladimir Putin. All those things that touch the heart, hit the body language.
Well, it all came about, Jim. It all came about when the Russians decided to back the Cubans and the Chinese, who decided to back the MPLA in Angola. And then one day, the United States of America and Britain were very, very scared of communism, and they begged us to sort this shit out. So South Africa, at a 10-to-1 disadvantage, waged war against the fucking communist bastards. And eventually we were victorious 14 years later. And Vladimir built up such an admiration for the South African spirit that he took me under his wing. And you see why I couldn't ever be a writer, mate. I'd make a terrible story.
I see.
But that's the sum total of it. 3,000 South Africans defeated 30,000 Cubans at Cuito Convale. 10-to-1. Still kicked ass. And there was Chinese and Russians involved. That's why they love us. Or hate us. Depends which side of the fence.
The Chinese and the Russians on the same side?
Yeah, the Chinese and Russians were providing military advisors to the Cubans and the MPLA Angolan forces.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So much we don't know. Anyway,
yeah.
If you're still watching us, we thank you for your interest, your participation in what we do, what makes what we do worthwhile, and for that we're sincerely grateful. If you'd like to join us, I'll put a link to this hangout. We'll go into Green Room shortly, but I'll put a link to this hangout in the Social Media Fridays community, and we'd love to have you join us and have a chat. We won't be on the air, of course, but